Hi, I'm Alice Grange, and I am a certified EFT tapping practitioner. And I'm making up a video today for you to tap along with me if you too are feeling out of touch, if you're craving physical connection due to COVID-19. We all crave consensual touch, even if we aren't always able to recognize it. People who are feeling touch deprived have a tendency to feel more lonely, depressed, anxious. Those who are touch starved are more likely to have trouble sleeping well and to be more aggressive with others. Safe, gentle touch slows down our heart rates, our blood pressure, and reduces our cortisol and stress levels. On the other hand, being touched increases serotonin and oxytocin, both of which are hormones which help us to feel happier, sleep deeper, and bolster our immune systems. In a couple of inhumane experiments in the 40s and 50s, scientists proved that babies need touch to survive. A group of infants were divided into two groups. Both groups were fed, changed, and bathed. One group was also held and cuddled, and the other was given no more physical touch than was absolutely required. At the end of the experiment, half of the children who had not been held and cuddled had died. All of the other children who had received more than the bare necessities of touch had survived. A group of baby monkeys were given access to two dolls. One doll was made out of wires, and the other was made out of terry cloth and was soft and cuddly. Both dolls sometimes had food and sometimes didn't. Given the choice, the baby monkeys overwhelmingly preferred the soft, cuddly, and huggable dolls, whether these dolls had food or not. Many of us are not getting any touch, or are getting a lot less than they used to. We're not hugging our friends, we're not shaking hands, we're not putting arms around people as expressions of comfort or solidarity. We're not fist pumping, hand slapping, bum patting, or putting our hands on the arms of others. We're missing touch, and our skin is hungry for touch. In my own case, because my partner's daughter and her boyfriend are living with him and they both work with the public, and I have a somewhat compromised immune system, I have chosen to physically distance myself from him and all others in order to keep myself well. However, I am an enthusiastic and hugger and toucher, so this is hard for me, sometimes very hard. I have found a few practices very helpful during these touch-deprived times. For starters, I am very grateful that I discovered EFT, also known as emotional freedom techniques, over a dozen years ago, and that as an EFT practitioner, I'm still regularly tapping along on my own body while working virtually via Zoom or Skype, etc., with clients who are tapping on their own bodies. Meridian tapping is very useful for significantly reducing feelings of isolation, loneliness, anxiety, fear, sadness, worry, frustration, etc. If you too are craving physical connection, feeling touch-starved, missing cuddles, sex, hugs, massage, and other forms of intimacy, please consider joining me in this short tapping exercise. Take a moment to close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and check in with yourself to see what is it that you are missing the most about the lack of touch or the decrease of touching in your life these days. In my case, it's the hugs and the bedtime cuddles I miss the most. I miss that feeling of comfort and connection when curled up together with my sweetie watching Jeopardy together. It's our fave. Big date night. I miss holding hands as we walk on the beach or dancing together to great live music. And thinking about what I'm missing makes me sometimes feel bereft, sad, and deprived. You might be feeling the same, or you might be feeling other emotions. Perhaps you're anxious or angry or scared that you'll never be touched again. Now take another breath and ask yourself, how am I feeling? Are you sad too? Are you anxious? Are you lonely? Are you afraid? Whatever you're feeling, make a note of it, either in your head or write it down on a piece of paper. And if it's sadness, for example, check in to see how strong that sadness is on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 would be really intense and 0 is non-existent. Make a note of that number too. Like me, you may be feeling more than one feeling. Make note of them all and give them all a rating between 0 and 10. Also notice if you're feeling those feelings anywhere in particular in your body. Perhaps it's your throat, in your heart, or in your stomach. Don't judge it, just notice it. If you can describe the sensation, then do so. Although these questions may seem silly to some, to others they will resonate. Does that feeling or emotion have a shape, a size, a texture? For example, is it bumpy, prickly, slimy, smooth, hard, wet, dry, warm, cold? Does it have a color, a taste, or a smell? Don't worry if nothing in particular shows up. If it does, just make a note of it. You can pause this video if you need to while you notice what's real for you. Now go and get a sip of water, maybe a Kleenex or a handkerchief, and wash your hands before we start tapping together, as we will be tapping on specific meridian points on your faces. You can pause this video again if you need to. Please remember to take responsibility for your own emotional and physical health, and reach out for help from a medical professional if you need it. I encourage you to tap along with me and repeat whatever I'm saying. Feel free to insert your own words or use mine. Either way, I hope you will find some relief at the end of this mini session from whatever you are feeling yourself now. And even if you're not feeling a particular feeling that I bring up, consider tapping along anyway. You may be pleasantly surprised at how much better you're feeling at the end of the tapping rounds. And take a deep breath. Breathing in through your nose and out through pursed lips. Breathe again. Don't worry about being exact about where you're tapping. Just follow along to the best of your ability. We're working with vibration, so close to the points is close enough. If you want to know exactly where the points are and what they individually release, then please go to my website, tappingdetective.com, where you will find a free EFT guidebook and journal to download that's full of lots of great info about tapping and the points. So let's start off by taking another deep breath. And I'd like you to start tapping on the side of your hand, just underneath your baby finger. You can do one hand, you can do the other hand, or you can do it like this if you prefer. Or you can switch hands. And repeating after me. Even though I feel this sadness like an ache in my heart, this sadness like an ache in my heart, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Even though I feel lonely, even though I feel lonely. And I feel this loneliness in my lungs, and I feel this loneliness in my lungs. It makes it difficult to take a full breath. It makes it difficult to take a full breath. And take a breath. Even though I feel really anxious, even though I feel really anxious, and it feels like butterflies in my stomach, and it feels like butterflies in my stomach. And take another deep breath. Even though I feel all this fear, even though I feel all this fear, it feels like tension in my back. It feels like tension in my back. Even though I feel all this worry in my forehead, that feels really tight. Even though I feel all this worry in my forehead that feels really tight. Even though I'm feeling deprived. Even though I'm feeling deprived. And I have this aching in my skin for touch. And I have this aching for my skin, in my skin for touch. Take a breath. Even though I'm feeling really frustrated at how long this has been going on. Even though I'm feeling really frustrated at how long this has been going on. And this frustration feels like rocks in my neck and shoulders. And this frustration feels like rocks in my neck and shoulders. Even though I feel angry. Even though I feel angry. And it's like a lump stuck in my throat. It feels like a lump stuck in my throat. And even though I feel distraught, even though I feel distraught, it feels like I want to jump out of my skin. It feels like I want to jump out of my skin. And lastly, even though I feel isolated, even though I feel isolated, it feels like a hole in my heart. It feels like a hole in my heart. I love and accept myself. I love and accept myself. Or if you have trouble saying that, try, I'm open to the possibility that someday I'll be able to love and accept myself. I'm open to the possibility that someday I will be able to love and accept myself. I'm going to take a sip of water. If you have some, I suggest you do the same. Okay, so we're going to start off by tapping on the top of our heads. And you can kind of go around like this or just tap here on the flat spot. Some people will go all the way around. All this sadness, all this sadness. And then the third eye with a couple of fingers. And you can go gently. You don't have to beat yourself up. In fact, it's better if you don't. All this loneliness, all this loneliness. And then just above your nose, in between your nose and your eyebrow, and you can go one side, you can go the other side, you can do both sides. All this loneliness in my lungs. All this loneliness in my lungs. And in the corner of your eyes, this difficulty getting a full breath. This difficulty getting a full breath. And then just underneath the eyes on that bone, all this anxiety that I'm experiencing like butterflies in my stomach. That I'm experiencing like butterflies in my stomach. And take a breath. Now just above your upper lip, between your upper lip and your nose, all this fear in my back, this fear in my upper back, all this fear in my upper back, all this fear in my lower back, all this fear in my lower back. And then on your chin, this worry, this tight worry in my forehead, this tight worry in my forehead. And then this one is just beneath your collarbones. And you can do one side, the other side, or you can do both. Feeling deprived. Feeling deprived. This aching in my skin for touch. Take a breath. And then just on your breastbone, or your heart chakra if you prefer. So much frustration, so much frustration. Feels like rocks in my neck and shoulders. It feels like rocks in my neck and shoulders. And then the next spot is underneath your nipples. For women, it's just underneath your breasts on your rib cage. And for men, it's 2 or 3, maybe 4 inches below. Just rub around until you feel something that's a bit tender. It could be a little bit more in towards your breastbone or a little bit more out towards your armpits, but you'll know it when you hit it. Just rub this one. All this anger is like a lump stuck in my throat. All this anger, it's like a lump stuck in my throat. And then underneath your armpits, about, if you wear a bra, it's about on line where your bra strap would be, or 3 or 4 inches down. Feeling so distraught, like I want to jump out of my skin, like I want to jump out of my skin. Now this is the wrist point, and you can do it like this, or like this, or like this, or you can even just rub like that. I'm feeling so isolated. I'm feeling so isolated. And it's like there's a hole in my heart. And it's like there's a hole in my heart. So now take another deep breath. Close your eyes and check in. Have the emotion or emotions or feelings or sensations that you were feeling before we started tapping changed at all? Just notice. If the feelings have decreased at all, that's wonderful. If it's a little, that's okay. Rewind the tape. I know that shows how old I am, having grown up in the era of the cassette. And tap along for another round or two. Or you can pick just one feeling and do a round on it. For example, even though I'm feeling so isolated, even though I'm feeling so isolated, I choose to know I'm going to be touched again. I choose to know I'm going to be touched again. And then just isolation, isolation, feeling isolated, feeling like there's a hole in my heart full of isolation. All this isolation, and so on. If things have improved, that's wonderful. And if not, you may want to consider getting in touch with me. My email address is alice@alicegrange.com, because I can help you get more specific, which usually helps if the generic tapping is not working for you. Feel free to ask me any questions as well. I may be able to give you a couple of tips to just get you on the right track. So there are things that we can do to support ourselves and our bodies during this touch-depriving pandemic. A few suggestions are self-massage with some almond, coconut, or olive oil. Or maybe you have a massage oil that you prefer. You can gently stroke your whole body with your full hand. You can rub your body with little finger circles. You can knead your muscles. You can pat yourself all over. You can gently tap. You can squeeze and let go. I encourage you to do any of those that feel good to you. You can practice slow, deep breathing. In through your nostrils and out through pursed lips. Keep posted for a tap-along session coming soon that addresses any breathing difficulties you may be experiencing. Another thing that you can do, which I've been doing a lot of, is call somebody, call a friend, either someone that you were seeing regularly before this pandemic began or someone that you haven't seen in ages. One of the blessings for me has been the reconnection with old friends. I've shared both phone calls and virtual face-to-face calls. All have been equally appreciated. I make an effort to reach out to a friend every day. If you have a pet, cuddle with them. My neighbors have a really cute little King Charles Cavalier Spaniel, Ariel, who I dog sit regularly and take for walks in the nearby woods. Sometimes we share a cuddle on the sofa, and I understand from the Center for Disease Control that there's a very low risk of animals spreading COVID-19. However, wash your hands before you touch the dog and wash your hands after you've touched the dog. Another suggestion that I'm particularly appreciating is having a long hot bath with Epsom salts or some other bath salts or a favorite soap. I love both my Trader Joe's Tea Tree Tingle and also my Jason's Calming Lavender soaps. They both smell fabulous. You can also take an online yoga, Zumba, somatics, dance, or exercise class. Follow along with YouTube videos, tapping or otherwise. You can hug a pillow. Those of you who know me will know I love purple. You can wrap yourself in a warm, cozy blanket with your favorite warm beverage and read an inspiring novel. Perhaps you'd like to watch a happy feel-good movie or laugh along with a favorite comedian. Or you could try listening to an encouraging podcast. Right now, my favorites are Michael Beckwith, Brene Brown, and an all-time favorite, Gabor Mate. When we are again able to touch each other, consider creating safety with your touches. Respect the physical boundaries of others and yourself. Give yourself permission to not accept anyone's touch if you don't feel comfortable with it or them. I loved the elbow bump when we were still doing that. There's a certain playfulness about it that I appreciate. If you wish to touch another, ask, would you like to share a hug? Try not to say, I want a hug. Can I have a hug? Or give me a hug. As they are less likely to let the person know that they have a choice as to who touches them, when, where, and how. And lots of people, unfortunately, were not taught as children that they had the right to refuse touch when it didn't feel good. So let's finish up with a final round of tapping choices. Starting at the top of your head. Take a breath. I choose to know that this situation will not last forever. I choose to know that this situation will not last forever. Third eye. I choose to know that our efforts to keep ourselves and others safe by physically distancing is helpful. I choose to know that our efforts to keep ourselves and others safe by physically distancing is helpful. Take a breath. Above the nose. I choose to touch myself and treat myself with kindness and respect. I choose to touch myself and treat myself with kindness and respect. Corner of the eyes. I choose to treat all those I am in contact with compassion and gentleness. I choose to treat all those I am in contact with compassion and gentleness. Underneath the eye. I choose to do things that support me and make me happy. I choose to do things that support me and make me happy. Above the nose, under the nose, sorry. I choose to take this time to reach out to others, especially those who I know are living by themselves. I choose to take this time to reach out to others, especially those I know who are living by themselves. Chin. I choose to make healthy choices in what I eat and how and when I exercise. I choose to make healthy choices in what I eat and how and when I exercise. Collarbones. I choose to spend some time every day imagining a world that works for everyone. I choose to spend some time every day imagining a world that works for everyone. On the breastbone. I choose to believe that positive change is possible. I choose to believe that positive change is possible. Underneath your nipples, rubbing again. I choose to remember that we are all in this together. I choose to remember that we are all in this together. Underneath the armpits, I choose to believe that together we will create a healthier world. I choose to believe that together we will create a healthier world. You can also do this like if you wish. And then on your wrists, I choose to look forward to connecting with someone I love every day. I choose to look forward to connecting with someone I love every day. Take a deep breath. Put your hands on your heart. I choose to love, accept, and forgive myself and others. I choose to love, accept, and forgive myself and others. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will be posting other tap along videos soon. Please get in touch if you are experiencing difficult emotions or thoughts. Suffering is optional. Healing is possible. Again, my email address is alice@tappingdetective.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Alice Grange and also tappingdetective.com. Take care of yourself, folks. We will get through this.